Sorry, I've not actually been on camera in probably over half a year. It's been a while. Let us. That's not true. I had a couple treadmill streams, but not at this close. Um, so yeah, this is the new visual novel of the Devil, which I'm very excited to dive into. I don't know much other than it has some cool, like you can bet on how right you are, and that like determines your HP rather than just having a strike system. And I think that's a very cool concept. Just checking some of the settings real quick, playing with the controller, so if you might be a little funky. Okay, looks fine. Let's start it up then. Start at episode 0, then hopefully do episode 1 after. Rain sizzles off neon above me. The summer shower creates a noted uptick in the flickering holograms down the street, and a slight blunting of the night's ambiance. Emphasis on slight. Lights, cameras, and constant noise. This city's got insomnia, with the uneven heart rate to prove it. There's no escaping the secondhand nervous energy of it all, but I'm plenty acclimated. Wish I could get acclimated to insomnia. Just a wave of worries cresting on the surface while I hold my breath deep below. Besides, a microdose of nightlife anxiety suits my mood just fine. As if I'm not careful, this client of mine's going to die in jail. Morgan. Criminal attorney. Hard to get away with murder these days. People are still presumed innocent, at least on paper. But by the time they're in cuffs, there's hardly any shadow of the doubt left. Because this whole world lit up, mapped out, never unknown, and always online. Whether it's incandescent, or neon, or hollow, whether it's LCD, LED, or just the nearest phone screen. There's light shining on every last pixel of the map, and someone is always watching. Solitude's a rarity. Anonymity is scarce. Anonymity. And criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. So you'll take whatever clients you can get. You don't balk at public defender work, no matter the hour. And should you find yourself in one of the last dark, quiet corners left in the world, well, smoke 'em if you got 'em. Not that there's much else I can do until... My phone? Counselor, your public defender contract has been approved. You are expected at the 254th precinct. Present your ID at the door to enter. Arrive at least 15 minutes early. I'll try. Less than 3. Looks like the paperwork came through. It's nearly 3:15 now. 90 minutes since I took the job. Probably makes it about 2 hours since I finally got smart enough to ask for a lawyer. If they're really smart, they'll use that time to get some rest. Because now that I'm here, things are going to get busy. Of the Devil, Episode 0. And he shall appear. Let's keep him enabled. Suspect, hashtag not found. Welcome. If you're experiencing an emergency, please use our universal contact number at string not found. Precinct 254. It's a goddamn ghost town with nothing but a hologram for a welcoming party. I'm here about a homicide. My clearance rate be damned. You'd think they'd treat it with a little more gravitas. Whatever. If I'm not unimportant, they've got no right to complain if I take my sweet time getting in. And I should take my time. Information's like cash in my line of work. You gotta spend it to make it. If you're flat broke, no one will give a shit what you have to say. So let's see if I can't poke around and shake some change loose. Actual police lineup. It's like I walked into a museum. Though museums tend to feel expensive and clean. Dusty, forgotten, probably lots of unpacked boxes. This homicide department's more like an attic. Hard to believe they're ever so busy that they have witnesses making IDs in the lobby. And again, it's hard to believe they're ever doing lineups in the first place. Are you certain? Wasn't it dark? Did you know that during traumatic events, memory information is blah blah blah? Poking holes in that setup must have been like shooting fish in a barrel, and all during billable hours. There's no room to sow doubt anymore, not when a modded witness can just submit their testimony as a video recording. Assuming their phone didn't automatically file a police report for them. God, this is dystopian. A data pad? I'll bet you. Even when they're more advertisements than article, they can still be informative. In a flowery, roundabout, corporate propaganda sort of way. I'm not gonna... Oh, let me see. Subway fixes acts. City to refocus on canopy, declaring the subway tunnels irreparably flooded. City engineers announced this week that all plans to drain and repair the system were being suspended indefinitely. Saltwater damage to sensitive electronic cabling and erosion of the key tunnel fixtures are cited as reasons for why 89% of the subway system was evaluated as critically compromised or worse. Civil engineering efforts will be refocused on maintenance and expansion of the hybrid super infrastructure system that weaves together trams, highways, walkways, and skyscrapers into the canopy high above our city street. Oh, there's more tabs. Oh, ballsy of them putting the paywall there. As if I'd reached my wallet after having to read a word like aesthetical. Besides, I got the gist of it. The takeaway is that the city will be focusing its efforts on... Oh, shit. Canopy? There'll be increased scrutiny surrounding the canopy now that there's no plan B. Okay, so I do actually have to read and pay attention to things. Cool. It's a massive project with a massive budget. Lines the pockets of a lot of people, big and small. None of them would appreciate bad press at the moment, not when Councilman Long's already thoroughly chummed the waters. Okay, I think that about what's here. I'm not going to read all these out. We're sorry to see that you've installed a subroutine on this device to disable and highlight our recommended premium external links. We understand your drive for personalization, but unauthorized tech impacts our ability to serve you at the best, most relevant information possible. Consider disabling your subroutine so we can serve you a more tailored browsing experience. Thank you. Deadpad. A replacement for ecologically wasteful newspapers. Quickly became infamous for the difficulty and expense recycling them. Still remaining unpopular with environmentalists and bibliophiles. Love this game. Declaring subway tunnels be irreparably flooded. Oh yeah, okay, I already read that one. It appears you have 0 free articles remaining this month. Please verify your account information in order to continue reading the stories that matter. It's Morgan time. Okay, I need that. There we go. Game of the year. We just screenshot that. Oh wait, hold on. Steam Deck. Steam Deck. Oh man. Friend. Picture 2. Charmless. That's a rough teal. It's not the teal I like. I have to know, is this published by... I mean, it's gotta be. The Type Moon people. To have a Neko arc. Okay, yeah, all very cute. Let me scroll back up. I like Morgan time. Settings, lock phone, evidence. Okay. The medium's trapped in the corner. Looks bad. My phone's made of the same stuff, and I'm rolling the dice every time it falls off the sofa. Probably null the warranty on one of these things with a loud sneeze. At least it's not broken entirely. Even at this hour, it's still dutifully scrolling through its notifications. Looks like the usual 1-to-1 ratio of public health alerts and inoffensive pop culture trivia you always get served at state buildings. There's a few missing persons, too. 1 year of silver plan coverage, courtesy of Catesis. That's your word for any. Silver's no joke. Family must be getting desperate. Okay, let me talk to you. High traffic hallways, utilitarian furnishing, multiple screening stations. Pragmatic brutalism so textbook it could teach freshman level architecture. Can almost hear the building drone on and on about concrete and iron and hard right angles. I almost said hard on angles. The civil planning equivalents of battle scars. The fight won so long ago that they're starting to look ridiculous. I'm sure it was all very imposing back when it was built. Walking in here now with crime rates where they are, feels like a Hotch's word for heavy-handedness. Alright. I've taken in all the scenery and learned as much as I can here. Time to get checked in. We booted up fine. So far, so good. Good morning! Morgan, here for the public defender. Could you please provide your name and... Great, please stand still for a moment. I wouldn't call intake hollows charming, more like harmless. But that's probably what the designers were aiming for. People don't mind a quirk or two in the text, so long as it never speaks out of turn. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble placing you. Could you please provide your name and date of birth? So far, so good, was it? Say, why don't you just scan my ID card? Great. Now, can you just confirm your date of birth for me? Why do they even bother asking? My birthday's on the damn ID card and my profile. I'd have to be a world-class airhead to get this question wrong. No problem, my birthday's... Shit. December 26th. Whiskey sour, hell yeah. I can also fall asleep in any position. Dislikes commercials, hairdressers, jogging. Okay. I'm also just skimming the conductive resin. About the screen. December 26th. Perfect. Good morning, Morgan Counselor. Thank you for your timely arrival and for taking on this public defender contract. If you're ready to speak to your client, you can proceed to counseling quarters 3C. Is that what we're calling it now? You mean the interrogation room? I'm sorry to have caused any confusion. My vocabulary is regularly updated to better reflect state standards. Don't sweat it. I can't keep track of every new euphemism either. They could call it the involuntary wellness check room if they like. Doesn't change the way it makes a person feel, sitting in a stifled box of one-way panels. Nothing to see but their own reflection, dutifully wrapped, belly warped across gunmetal walls. Morgan, Counselor, can I help you with anything else? I know the city's not terribly concerned with low rewards, but this is a police station. Why is it so goddamn dusty? This facility is currently undergoing renovations. Since when? The 60s? It has been 22 months since the timetable was last updated. They really don't see a lot of action around here, do they? I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have encountered. I'm adaptable. What about you? Are they ever going to fix that crack? Thank you for asking. It has not interfered with my work. Well, that's all that matters, right? That'll be all. Thank you. Oh, sorry. You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office through the door to your right. Thanks. But I think it's just me for now, so you could go on break if you'd like. Automated dependents do not take breaks, Morgan Counselor. And what were you doing before I walked in? You'll find the counseling quarters past the homicide detective's office. Through the door to the right, thank you. Ads don't get breaks, and they don't get any jokes. But it's usually the humorless types that are the most fun to mess with anyway. Eyes gone bad or something? A voice. No, voice is coming from down the hall. Paired to yours? Probably. Thank God I stopped for directions. A building this empty, the desk could have just told me to follow the echoes. One voice sounds older, rougher, and decidedly low energy. Appreciate you trying about me. God forbid I try to be serious. While the other rings with youthful indignation. It's not like our job's important or anything. Definitely cops. And at this precinct, at this hour, they might be the only two living, breathing people in the whole complex. Why else would you bother to print all that out? One document or 100 looks the same on a datapad. Anytime you question a suspect, you have a heavy file in hand. Makes them think you know them better than their priest, their mother, their big brother. I wasn't going to say that. Now, how many of those sheets were blank then? No red carpet tonight, officers? Good question mark cop. No such thing. Oh, sorry about that, man. We don't keep many extra hands around at these hours. Probably faster to let the desk handle intake anyway. Mostly cheaper. You the lawyer? I am. Morgan Esquire. Pleased to meet you. Same here, counselor. Kazim, London. And the ball of sunshine here is my partner, Farrah Reyes. Ball of sunshine? She certainly is. Sorry if you were kept waiting. Chatter between the departments has been hectic all night. It's no trouble. Gave me time to enjoy my cigarette. Cigarette? Like tobacco? What are you, 80? You can't be more than a few years younger than me. Well, we're the detectives in charge of this particular case. It looks like tonight we're also your humble guides to the illustrious homicide department. Apologies in advance for any cobwebs. Pretty sure I've seen this London character around the courthouses before. He never struck me as more than some old-timer. But I suppose being an old-timer is an accomplishment in and of itself in his profession. Sunshine is definitely a new face, though. Rigid in her posture and her attitude. 3 in the morning, and her shirt still looks ironed. Freshly promoted, maybe? 2 whole detectives working at these hours? Sounds serious. Unless you were just the first to arrive on the scene? No, we're not nearly that timely. Uniforms responded to the emergency calls within a few minutes. Calls, plural. Must have been the commotion. Look around. You think we're the first to arrive for anything? He's not wrong. We were only trapped after circumstances at the scene indicated involvement with an ongoing investigation. Our ongoing investigation. Not very subtle, is she? But I may as well bite at this point. So you suspect that this client of mine is involved with some separate criminal activity? Wait, did they really not? No, I guess they wouldn't put it in a public defender's briefing. Look, consider this a little professional courtesy. A fair warning, yeah? That's the heartbreak killer in that room. We got the bastard dead to rights. So if you're kind, you'll help him plead it out. And if you're smart, you'll pass the shitstorm onto some other night owl and go back to bed. I'm not feeling particularly kind or smart at this moment. So perhaps in the meantime, you'd be so polite as to fill me in about this heartbreak killer. They cover utilities at the rock you live under? Is there a problem? You're seriously not familiar with HK? Never heard of him. Heard enough of him for a lifetime. That name has been plastered all over the city for weeks, their crimes wavering between breaking news and urban legend. Their presumed goals flip-flopping from unadulterated anarchy to unappreciated vigilantism. With street corners and the media, or on the net, everyone's indulging in the exact kind of armchair detective speculation that I can't stand. Right now, I need to figure out exactly how much the police do or do not know. When it comes to cops, I always get better results playing dumb than I do by acting smart. I take it he's a repeat offender? Was it the killer part that tipped you off? You must have at least heard about his MO. Media's gone crazy with it. Along with everyone else. One bullet straight through the heart. Body left to die where it falls. Hence the name Heartbreak. Not exactly creative, but amidst the swirl of every other 100-word article out there, catchiness trumps originality. Check my terms and profiles real quick. Automated Dependent, abbreviated to AD and referred to in common abbreviations as AD or ADS. Automated Dependent is a catch-all term encompassing robots, intelligent programs, and interactive holograms and androids. ADS are present both digitally and physically in every industry and nation on the planet, assisting in everything from data management to physical labor. In the mid-21st century, lobbyists pushed through the tax classification to define intelligent machines that were neither salaried employees nor mere equipment. Because it afforded tax breaks and lighter tariffs, the term became so commonly used that it spread to all branches of the robotics industry, at which point it began to penetrate into everyday speech and pop culture. Some sociologists argue that the term owes its popularity simply to its brevity and prevalence, its ability to draw a distinction between commonplace robots, androids, smart UIs, etc., and the internationally illegal artificial intelligence. Searching for this term may incur an account flag. Okay, that one was actually worth reading. Photography, dive bar, bangs, dislikes tires, pollen, after hours work messages, listens to podcasts, hobby, pencil sketching, frequently running late. Heartbreak killer, unknown. Criminal, likes killing, dislikes getting caught, favorite color, probably red. Zodiac sign, probably not into astrology, reward suspended due to influx of false reports. Farah likes rice, limes, automotive history, dislikes liars, small plates, cheap people, enjoys watching product reviews, bad at games, chance, and Red Eyes OS Iris Elite 86. What you won't read about online is that all 6 of HK's victims were shot by the same guy without even needing to reload. Horrible to say, I know, but 6 for 6. That's pretty good shooting, isn't it? Hitting the bullseye at the shooting range is good shooting. Doing it 6 times in a row is great. But shooting 6 people with accuracy like that, it's a whole different beast. It takes a certain kind of monster, a real freak. Sorry, that was at a London sport. I'm not distinguishing them very well. His pulse probably didn't even rise. I see. You almost like him sound like a machine. Is it possible that... No, it is not. There's no such thing as killer robots, madam. Of course, my mistake. So all those androids marching in the military, those robots patrolling in police uniforms, those drones dropping firebombs from the sky. I guess they're all firing blanks. Fair enough. Machines can kill, and they have been for decades. But they don't commit murder. Right. Evil like heartbreak is all organic. It's a pretty terrifying thought. I should really start paying more attention to the news. I managed to miss 6 murders. Well, you can only blame yourself for missing 5. Hi, Aaron. Welcome. Thanks for the raid. What were you playing tonight? Pardon? You're still not getting it. HK's 6th victim was found a few hours ago. Hi, Joe Faz. Hi, Lev. When we caught the son of a bitch red-handed. So you're convinced that my client is this heartbreak killer, and tonight was just his latest crime. That's a serious accusation with very serious consequences. Nice, nice. I need to go back and finish. Not to spoil anything, Baldur's Gate 3 just has weird act pacing. I was in the final act, and I just need to do a little bit more to hit the end. It just kind of opened up after being real narrow, and it kind of threw me for a loop. I was being literal, counselor. Red-handed. When we found your client, he was covered in her blood. Well, that's not good, is it? What you say certainly sounds compelling. How far are you in? Is that lawyer talk for open and shut? But even if that's the case, how does one crime scene make him look good for 6 murders? It's all there in the discovery files, and the ARCs, of course. Join the local net on your phone and we'll turn over everything you need. I'll bet. Thanks for that, detective. I'll be sure to read it over. But if it's all the same, could I ask you some questions while I've got you here? The hell kind of attorney wants to interrogate the detectives? This kind of attorney, you're just that pleasant. Come on, Sunshine, not like we're going to be punching out anytime soon, right? Whatever. Let your client stew in with interrogation all night for all I care. Interrogate? You mean the counseling quarters? We're here at your disposal, counselor. You shouldn't have cleaned up so much just for little old me, Detective London. Someone really needs to introduce this guy to a filing system. Or even just a stapler. Paper documents scattered about lazily, alongside actual photographs. Either he's really old-fashioned or really paranoid about data leaks. And he doesn't look the paranoid type. Well, orderliness aside, some things are better in paper, I'll give him that. Barren, stark, and uninviting, this must be Reyes' desk. Keeping your workstation neat and tidy is admirable, but I can't spot a single note of personalization. She's so new she hasn't had time to unpack, or is she really that uptight and boring? Both, maybe. Also, just to give a little context on this, I'm very excited to see what this game looks like. Hold on. No. I'm trying to just show it in the title card. Where is it? No. Yeah, this one. Because it just came out, first chapter, I think, earlier in the week, maybe like 2 days ago. And it is an actual episodic release. I think there was like 5 chapters. I could be wrong on that. And this is actually still episode 0, the demo that was out a little earlier, but hopefully I'll get to 1 afterwards. Latest Noble androids received warm welcome, bolstered by a strong earnings report and surging sales of the Anima 16. Noble Electronics stock rose a stunning 3% this week to a new record high. While Noble's latest iteration has yet to surpass the sheer popularity of its predecessors, an increased profit margin has left Noble's shareholders very enthused. Many investors were skeptical when, at their infamous 2084 trade convention, Noble announced that the 16th line would be the first generation of androids to feature over 50% organic components. So-called warm androids, which at the time only saw demand in the health, senior, and childcare sectors, were looked down upon as impractical due to the increases in maintenance costs, cuts, scratches, bruises, and the likes. And while some critics voiced concerns that fringe religious or traditionalist groups might find warm androids controversial, more business-focused minds feared that Noble was alienating its customers in the industrial and military sectors in order to cater to civilian consumers, users that viewed their androids from across the room and not from above the factory floor. However, as has often been the case when in the last decade, Noble's doubters are proven wrong. The Anima 16 is poised to break profitability records with no signs of slowing down, and with many industry analysts predict that these once rare organic androids will completely replace their more robotic predecessors in daily life within the next 3 to 5 years. As described in the earnings report, much of the 16th line's success, and indeed the success of Noble's androids in general, can be attributed to the remarkable, lifelike, personable charm of their work of lead programmer Dr. David Escher. Lead programmer is the understatement of the century, said Noble brand ambassador Lucy Dees on stage at the latest #Noble Industry Weekend. Because of his Turing solution that every Noble product, from the sleekest assistants to the most advanced intensive care technicians, are so beloved and trusted by our customers. While his reputation was on full display at the event, Dr. Escher himself was nowhere to be seen. He's always been reclusive, but he's become a genuine hermit in recent years. Are you really to believe he's still, "Hey fam, looks like you're not logged in to this device. Want to put your account info so we can help you keep reading?" Check my phone. Oh, he's in the news again. No wonder, can't get without landing on a piece of Noble tech these days. Especially not when the state's involved. Don't know if they'll bite when it comes to warm androids though. For government use, they're just too frail. All androids undergo wear and tear, especially if they're directing traffic or suppressing crowds. So if these warm androids bleed paint all over themselves every time they take a rock to the cheek, just an endless stream of bad photo ops waiting to happen. Loose wires, missing panels, and an aircon system that probably sweats more than the people it's supposed to cool. No room in the budget for making the office not look like shit, huh? Expected to find a lot of belt tightening at Homicide, but I didn't think their operation would be this bare bones. They've got a stunning clearance rate and they work fast. Guess the city sees that and just assumes their job is easy. Maybe their job is easy, what with our dear doting surveillance data eliminating so much of the footwork. But if your wheels don't squeak, you don't get your palms greased. So Homicide ends up as the only state department with a shrinking budget. The dumping ground for the police force's most unambitious and least popular. Okay, nothing else jumps out at me around here. I've got a better idea of who I'm dealing with, at least. Now I need to check out the crime scene data. I should have been sent a link. You've been granted access to state files regarding case KL43351. Apply C to confirm. Confirm. You needed to reply C in order to confirm. Am I talking to a person? I'm an automated dependent. Guys are usually more polite. Our personalities are tailored to suit our users' preferences. So the site likes you to be a little authoritarian. You need to reply C. C. It's case sensitive. C. Thank you. Link.uxi/4335511. Alright, if I project from my phone, just use a total bunch of numbers. Augmented reality crime scene. Hey, we got your Danganronpa droids. We got some pink blood here. Don't you just love magenta? Alright, let's see what the police have. What they think is important. The victim's body. Cause of death. Ballistic trauma. Class 4 blood loss. Atrium and aorta. Single gunshot wound to the heart. In brief, death was instantaneous. No injuries in or else, and no blood or skin under her nails. Blood spatter, forensics, and all of the good stuff tells them that she was shot from there. The killer was standing in the doorway when they fired. Stand-up mirror, shattered and knocked over. Real glass, no screens or camera here. It was hit hard enough to come unattached from its arm, while shards of glass were scattered far enough to land on the victim's body. What a mess. Let me learn what a shard of glass is. Augmented reality crime scene, abbreviated as ARCS, is a investigative tool in which data harvested by the sensors worn on first responders is used to reconstruct a digital copy of the crime scene. Okay, I'm actually just going to skim this one. It doesn't seem that interesting to read out loud. 2060. Regularly edited by state officials to erase state secrets. Later found to be fake. Of course, take this with a grain of salt with these articles here. And all the lawsuits about that remain sealed. Also, I just want to show you the cutest thing here. This is Morgan, my main character here. This charm for her phone is called Morgan Time, so like we are off to a fantastic start. I love it when she just morged all over the place. Okay, I already read the autopsy report. Mirror was non-digital. Okay, I already read the Android data log. Okay. Yeah, that back. The murder weapon, a revolver, found right next to the body. 6 empty casings found in each of the 6 chambers, meaning the gun has been fired 6 times. Looks like the crime scene techs practically disassembled the damn thing. But all they found were fingerprints belonging to my client. So he was found by the police. The murder weapon right in front of the body. I don't even know where to start. Highly prejudicial would be an understatement. Sorry. Okay. Seems like this vase got tossed aside at some point. And yet there's not a scratch on it. Must be pretty damn durable. Isn't art supposed to be delicate? Maybe it's making a statement. It's all the big ticket items. What about the security? Looks like the apartment was unlocked all night. It's not uncommon for people their age in a neighborhood like this. No signs of forced entry only hurts my client's case. What about the rest of the room? There's not much else flagged here. Just a lounge chair that got thrown and whatever that is. Unidentified ceramic debris? Flag is irrelevant? That's their technical assessment? I guess even the crime scene techs weren't sure what to make of it. Okay. That's everything the police highlighted. But did I miss anything? Of course, keep looking. Those don't have anything new that I haven't said out loud already. Oh, but we do have a backlog. I wonder how far it goes back. Okay, so back when I was still talking in London, so pretty far, but not. Something in the victim's hand. It's just a pill organizer. It looks like some immune gestures, NSAIDs, and Shipwreckzone, a synthetic medication taken daily to reduce rejection systems like phantom pain and generalized itch. Autopsy said her tox screen was clear, but it's not like it matters. You could have swallowed every medicine cabinet in the city and still wouldn't change the cause of death. Odd, but ultimately irrelevant. Everything here is very incriminating, but the kicker is that everything is not here. No out of place DNA, footprints, crumbs, nothing that points towards anyone except my client. Well, I've done more with less before, but not much more. I'm really going to have to sing for my supper this time. Better get to start. Hold on, please. Internet of shit. I'm sorry. Internet of Things refers to the network data sharing that goes on between all the countless electronics we monitor ourselves with. Phones, computers, security systems, biofeedback devices, body mods, prosthetics, and of course, automated dependents. All comprise small but vital parts of this network. Without IoT's ability to collect, process, and share information, massive opportunity costs build up as individuals, governments, and private businesses miss out on the valuable insight that data has to offer. One of the coolest ways that IoT improves our lives is the use of crumbs, small packets of data containing your own unique identifying information. Throughout your day, as your own IoT devices say hi to other devices, they'll leave behind crumbs as a parting gift. Crumbs allow for paperless identification and payment to help the government manage human and vehicular traffic. Crumbs let you see where you've been so you can see where you should go. Want to start leaving crumbs right away? Don't worry, crumbs are enabled by default. Not interested in sponsored search results? See further with a premium account. Okay. Parks data. Victim was shot from the room's doorway. No unexpected DNA present. No unexpected crumbs present. No unexpected fingerprints present. No evidence of digital tampering. Okay. Who the hell's messaging me at this time of night? First person who comes to mind is, I suppose it could be something important. Also, I love her fashion sense. Red. What couldn't wait until morning? Good news, of course. Got a job for you. That's a pretty cheery way to tell me you violated parole. Well, not that kind of job. Besides, I've been covering my tracks. This is something different. Kind of thing I can't handle with just a keyboard and phishing scheme. I need you to sue my gym teacher. Not that kind of lawyer, sorry. Hey, at least let me finish. What did they do? Make me run laps. Not illegal. Let me finish. They made me run laps. Even though I said I had a stomach ache. Gotta be like youth endangerment. Depraved indifference or some kind of shit. Sounds like you already got a strong case. Try self-representing this time. Look at the blow-off. Nice phrasing! Oh wow, I'm laughing so hard right now. See? Is that your mugshot? I wasn't going to not get a copy of my mugshot and use it as a reaction. Glad you found a use case. But I'm working right now, so... Anything cool? Homicide. Oh, cringe. Wait, what kind of homicide? Is it HBK? Is that the kind of morbid thing that kids your age talk about? Teens my age. And yeah, we can read. Compared to the corrupt shit in the headlines. Old-fashioned murder like Cardi B is, like, quaint. It's not heartbreak. Then why'd you take the job, lol? You see the 98% conviction rate as a challenge or something. You taking up lost cause pro bono's work? It's pro bono. That was autocorrect. You know they give lit homework for a reason, right? This is borderline concern nagging. Maybe you really are a bleeding heart. Or just a sucker. I'm not a sucker. Nice phrasing, lol. You should go to bed, Fran. Tomorrow's Sunday. I can stay up if I want. Tomorrow is Sunday. Because today is Saturday. What's with the Carpe Diem shit? It's nearly 4 AM, kid. You've got school in like 3 hours. Shit. Repeat offenders may be good for business, but that kid's bad for my blood pressure. Important text message, I take it? Just your typical teenage drama. So then, if you wouldn't mind filling me in on a few details. By the way, I couldn't help but notice that you're lighting staff. It's 3 in the morning. Were you expecting a parade? Thought there'd at least be a few androids around. Aren't many androids in any police station this week? Not while the brass is renegotiating contracts. Contracts with Noble? Good guess. Hardly, they're the biggest... Hardly. They're the biggest robotics corp there is. Spend all day in Center City without leaving their office's shadow. Yes, we're very fortunate to have them headquartered here. Maybe get some money on shipping, at least. But these talks never last that long. I'm sure they'll be back to writing checks for Noble ads by the end of the month. Noble pushing those warm androids? Warm, yeah. Might as well call them the adult line. Might see them in bigger departments or out on patrol, but not around these offices. Warm or cold, there's no such thing as an android detective. Yet. Yeah, you really think that'll happen? I already use ads for patrolling, securing the scene, pacifying crowds? Doesn't seem that big of a stretch to me. You're joking, right? Android detectives? All the pain we go through getting witnesses to talk to us? With your warm personality, I can't imagine. A cop knocks on your door, starts asking questions. You're gonna be put in a bad mood. An ad knocks on your door, calls you a degenerate criminal, and synthesized voice loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. You're gonna start posting shit that'll get you put on a list. Well, we certainly don't want that. Flesh and blood witnesses are becoming less and less common anyway. Cameras, sensors, satellites, we already got all our facts from machines. Give it a few more years, it might make sense to let machines do the investigating too. God, this is so dystopian. The union would. The police union wouldn't let that happen. She needn't have specified it's the only real union there is anymore. Oh. Just, okay, we busted all the unions except for the police unions. Cool, cool. Let's ask about a timeline. I saw the time of death was 9 p.m. on the autopsy, but you have a timeline for the rest of the night's events? Can't trust much of what comes out of his mouth, but we've managed thanks to less biased sources. We're pretty confident about what we've been able to piece together from their statements. So they interviewed witnesses. Sounds eerily similar to real police work. The suspect and his girlfriend were arguing loudly with one another starting at around 8 p.m. Neighbors were very clear about that part. Couldn't wait to tell us about the happy couple's domestic problems. Everyone in the building knew they'd been fighting for weeks. As you probably gathered from what you saw in the arcs, there was a struggle. Furniture turned over, glass shattered. But things go quiet sometime before 9 p.m. And then there's a gunshot. Rubbers are still scrubbing, looking for audio from the area to get a timestamp. We heard from enough concerned citizens to be pretty damn sure about the time. Right? Emergency services got a burst of calls from the block shortly after 9 p.m. No one seemed to recognize the sound for what it was. The silence that followed was pretty universally alarming. Officers arrive on the street at 9:08 p.m., establish a perimeter, enter through the open front door at 9:10 p.m., and then they find your client crouched over his girlfriend, his hand covered in her blood. At which point, they move to secure the scene and the suspect. Sorry, did you say his hand, singular? Your client's modded, cybernetic right arm. How modded are we talking about here? Registered with a Heyo 85 hapless, industrial globe grade, looks like. Says he's spec for dexterous manipulation of up to class 4 KPA, which means minimum grit strength of, well, basically, he could crush your neck without even gritting his teeth. Considering career change? No, it's not that. It's just, your eye must be very sensitive for you to put the patch back on each time. Here, I thought you just had a 14-year-old sense of fashion. You think a cop would cover her dominant eye because it was fashionable? I actually thought the same thing the first time we met. You what? Getting back on track. That arm of his has been in the shop for some time now. Can't work without it. Money got tight. The arguing? Yeah. When did he put his arm in for repairs? 8 days before HK's first victim was killed. Well, no chance they'll be willing to chalk that up to coincidence. Your client was arrested on the scene after a preliminary scan found his fingerprints on the revolver. And no one else's. A revolver? What kind? The old kind. The real old kind. More specifically, a caliber M54, 6-chambered 10mm. Caliber? How retro. You don't know the half of it. We're talking steel chamber, real gunpowder, mechanical firing pin, and no tags. No tags? How is that? Just how old are we talking about here? Yeah, 24/7 location data, timestamp trigger, full safeties coded owner biometrics. For the past 3 decades, tags made shooting crimes very unambiguous. So you're claiming my client used some kind of antique to commit these crimes? How else do you think you got away with this 5 other times? If he tried to buy a gun legit, he probably failed the very first psych check. Even a jailbroken pieces are only good for so long before update withdrawal sets in. So then, M54, that's model year 2054. 30-year-old gun. Well, that sure complicates things, doesn't it? I just love her, like, I'm being polite to you and using my I'm being nice voice, even though I think you're total shit. Just very customer service lawyer here. In some ways, sure. But pre-tagging firearms are rare. Also, I just want to catch up on a couple terms real quick. Body mods. Just skimming for anything interesting. Body modifications have been seen throughout history and across a wide range of cultures. The modern body modification is differentiated by a shift from intrinsic factors, expression or identity, to extrinsic motivators, job opportunities, technological benefits, improvements in physical or mental ability. Historically, mods have been classified based on which section of the user's spinal cord the interfacing occurs at, thorax, lumbar, or cervix. But this system does not account for mods which interact directly with the human brain. The increased prevalence of so-called above-the-neck modding in recent years has led to several corps and medical organizations proposing their own classification systems, but so far none have gained much traction. Users also frequently search for, can you return mods? Can you undo mod surgery? Best reviewed neural implant 2086. Calver, manufacturer from 2031 to 2062, bought by Thortec. Now, subdivision. Though no guns have borne the Calver branding since production halted in 2060, the once iconic brand was briefly revived in 2071 Q2 with a series of video game memorabilia tie-in promotions meant to increase in-game item sales before being discontinued in 2071 Q3, failing to increase in-game item sales. Great stuff. Net scrubbing. Sorry. I know this breaks up the pacing a little bit. First process of scouring all available data posted on the net within a certain time frame and location range for evidence of a crime. Increasingly common technique for police departments, corporate investigators, and occasionally public relation firms. While the brute force work is performed by an automated dependence, either digital or physical, experienced humans supervisors must establish strict search constraints in order to produce usable results. Interest in the practice spiked when Senator Bancroft positioned it as a key pillar of his party's law and order platform, but pollings indicated voters rarely held a strong opinion on the process, and the topic has since faded from political discourse. Also, I have not saved in a while. Let's save our game. Okay. Code. Bottom left sleeve matches below the victim. That is a right arm, so he did fire with the left. It was one of my main questions. What I wanted to confirm there. Gotta be less than 1,000 of them left in the whole country, and fewer still compatible bullets. The ammunition would have to be over 30 years old too. The novelty of the weapon has kept us in the dark so far. Now that we have our hands on it, it's going to put him away for good. archive department complained loud as hell about how deep they had to dig. With protocols they found, the techs were able to match the rifling marks on all 6 bullets to the gun your client was found with. Rifling marks. Bullets fired from guns old are marked by the barrel shape. So if all 6 bullets have the same rifling marks, we know that they were all fired by the same gun. It's not as plug and play as tags are, but it's equally precise science, I assure you. It's not damning enough that spent casings from the other 5 shootings were still in the chamber, without even needing to reload. The caliber your client was found with is the gun HK used to kill 6 women. No way to lawyer around that. An untagged gun, just being anywhere near a weapon like that could warrant your arrest. Being found by the police over a dead body with an untagged gun used at 5 other crime scenes is just... To summarize, then, you believe that my client fought verbally, then physically with his girlfriend, and that he retrieved this weapon and shot her? Yeah, pretty much. How did he look when the officers found him? Guilty. How was his effect? Quiet, detached, stiff. Not exactly the picture of a grieving partner. That reaction may have lost some points with the cops, but beyond that, people react to loss in all kinds of unusual ways. So long as the police are suspicious of you, there's no right way to grieve. How about the basics? What exactly has my client been charged with? Your client, Carlos Baker Flat, was arrested on the scene at 9:50 p.m. Using his middle name already. They really do think he's a serial killer. Charged being the first-degree murder of his girlfriend, a Miss Diane Dawn. First degree, that's increasingly rare, to say the least. Rare for us to get handed anything but crimes of passion around here. City's got damn near more cameras than people. You gotta be really, really stupid to try and get away with murder. Well, Hartberg's gotten away with it 6 times. So what's that make him? 5 times. And that makes him insane. I was going to go with extraordinary. Let's split the difference and say he's extraordinarily insane. But nut jobs like that aren't renowned for their ability to think ahead. So what makes you think this was premeditated? How about the fact that he stalked and killed 5 other women as a warm-up? A warm-up. 5 previous bullets, 5 previous victims. None of them knew each other, lived near each other, worked in the same fields. Weeks of digital autopsies crawling up and down their online profiles. And I'm just skipping this one. It's kind of exactly what they sound like. Users also frequently search for grave cobbling, how to stop stolen identity, how to delete dead profile. Okay, not much information on our client. The victim, Diane Dawn, was a 27-year-old agricultural genetics researcher for Peregrine Laboratories. Found shot through the heart in the bedroom of the apartment she shares with prime suspect Carlos Flat. No known connection to previous HK victims. Nothing. So this serial killer chose his victims at random if they have nothing in common. Yeah, nothing in common at all, other than they all look like cousins. The physical similarities are striking. All 5 prior victims were young women with brown hair and eyes, about the same height, compatible weight. I'm questioning if there is actually a robot killer, because that does sound like Terminator shit of just going to the people who match the description and having the pinpoint accuracy of 6 shots, 6 kills. Those features aren't exactly uncommon. Couldn't it be a coincidence? If you really believe that, you should quit your job and start buying lotto tickets. HK's got himself a type. Anyone can see that. You're really going to tell me you don't see the resemblance? Young woman, brown hair, brown eyes. Can't tell how tall she is from portrait, but I can take the hint. So you think what exactly? That Carlos Slat wanted to kill his girlfriend so badly that he went out and shot 5 other women first? Hey, if the shoe fits, then you just put the shoe on. What sunshine means is not uncommon for killers to displace their violence from people close to them onto outlets with fewer consequences. Drifters, loners, strangers, workers. He was probably building up the nerve for tonight by first practicing on these other similar women. Or he's just so far gone that he can't tell the difference anymore. Not the worst theory in the world, but it isn't shit. They want to claim that those previous victims were practice run dress rehearsals for tonight's main event. If that were the case, there would have been signs of hesitation, nerves. There'd have been mistakes. On top of which, guns are impersonal. Execution shots, even more so. There's no sadism or hatred or intimacy in a single bullet to the heart. Killing your girlfriend or her lookalikes usually is, if nothing else, a lot less sterile. If you ask me. That was certainly a cutaway. I'm just going to let that sit for a second. Did she kill her girlfriend? Checking my phone here, I have to say, you've done a pretty admirable job keeping the details of HK's crimes secret. Hey there, looks like you're trying to search for a term related to an ongoing investigation. Until authorities have made their findings public, results may be heavily curated or temporarily unavailable. Learn how we cooperate with authorities to combat disinformation here. Most reputable sites are doing some real journalistic acrobatics trying to piece together a story. Yeah, top 11 theories on who hurt HK was a real weighty read. It's not just our journalists, though. All kinds have been emboldened. Freaks at HK's managed to bring out of the woodwork in just a few weeks. Can you blame them, though? I mean, he's a genuine serial killer. Repeat offenders in general are an endangered species, but he's gotten away with... We know what he's gotten away with. Take a look around us, Detective. National DNA registries, robust enough that cases never go cold. Cameras on every street, a phone on every citizen, violent crime at an all-time low, and clearance rate at all-time highs. But you're going to spout some alt-Paul bullshit about invasion of privacy? No, I'm not. People are safer now than any other time in history, detectives. So when someone like Heartbreak does come along... Good point, huh? London's trying to look like he can laugh it off, but pressure from the higher-ups must be reaching its peak. They want, maybe need, to see someone charged, and that makes them predictable. Yeah, well... Even if there's nothing standard about HK, Department SOP still dictates we starve out media for case details. That way, when we do feed them, they're grateful for whatever scraps they get. We can't take all the credit this time around. Homicide's tight, knit and tight-lipped, but it's not like there's much information for us to leak in the first place. Why is that? Because none of the shootings were caught on this opt-in crime surveillance system. Sorry. Coming at like 90 minutes and the voice is starting to strain. Hopefully, I intended to get to the demo of the stream. I don't know how long demo is. Opt-in crime surveillance system, abbreviated as OPTICS, is a partnership program provided between the state and private enterprises that allows for the free sharing of surveillance and security data to better promote and preserve public safety. Accessible through state employee logins or private partner accounts, OPTICS Smart UI allows users to search through and collate footage from a city of tens of millions in just a few simple keystrokes. OPTICS is frequently cited in state reports as one of the most effective tools for reducing crime, and footage from OPTICS often serves as key evidence in criminal proceedings where it is considered admissible. See People versus Irawan. Users also frequently search for public safety measures in my area and daily security level. I just always think back to that from the American Dad pilot, where he's like that little meme where he's blowing at the like national terror level, like watching it go from yellow to orange or whatever. Okay. How's that even possible? It's also just safety save. I know that there's some rough areas in the lower wards, but OPTICS is watching every other street in the entire city. You're saying that you haven't seen this killer on camera once? Think we would kill 6 people if we did? I understand your concern, man, but OPTICS is only what it says in the name. Private surveillance systems sign up to feed into the state security network. It's not perfect, just another one of the many public safety tools in our belt. It's not meant to be perfect, it's meant to help us solve crimes. Or at least act as a deterrent. One would hope so. That chance, deterrents are for war rooms and war meetings. Anyone crazy or desperate enough to commit a crime in a city like this couldn't care less about anything as vague as the consequences of their actions. It's like a safety blanket, one with very few holes left in it. But it does have holes. Patching up those remaining holes takes effort, and that effort usually means rebooting the system. There's all kinds of technical details and digital bureaucracy involved. But the end result is that there are occasional localized blackouts, and the math used to schedule them is not impossible to predict. I see. But those windows of opportunity are small and short. Taking advantage of them requires specific knowledge. You need to be involved in law enforcement, pub data, or city planning. I did have mentioned if my client was a cop, and he wouldn't have needed a public defender either. His file says he's modded for heavy mass manipulation, not tech interfacing that, just leave city planning. So does he work construction for the city? HK's only ever struck sometimes in locations where OPTICS would be down. Even with the devil's own luck, it can't possibly be coincidence. Wait, so you're saying when this woman was killed, yeah, there's a blackout from around 8 to 9 tonight. Right on schedule, so to speak. And it included the area surrounding the victim's apartment. What about DNA from the other crime scene? Was my client a match? There's been no blood, no saliva, no suspect DNA at any of the crime scenes. No footage and no forensics. Also no motives, tampering, or witnesses. It's been like hunting the damn ghost. We didn't even have a murder weapon until now. Finally, a lucky break for the boys in blue. Scanners, cams, drones, forensics. No matter how you dress it up with tech, all detective work relies on one basic assumption. People make mistakes. HK is the kind of monster who doesn't make mistakes. Only reason we even called him tonight was because he finished what he had set to do all along. So with my client on the list of suspects before tonight, aren't you listening? There was no list of suspects. Questioned some X's, a few CIs, someone even spoke to one or two unlisted at some point. Nothing came of it. There was talk about starting on some kind of psych eval or something, but I never expected much to come of that. There's just not enough there to work with. Other words, the only thing they could have to link my client to those killings is the murder weapon. If I can jostle that keystone, the rest of the case should start to come loose as well. Thanks for the chat, detectives. I think I understand the background well enough now. Candidly, I see the same strokes you do, and the picture it paints isn't pleasant. But even so, it seems a bit unrefined to be brought before a judge, don't you think? Hey, it's only our job to catch the bastard. The DA is the one who gets the conviction. Besides, we're not exactly going to have our work to convince anyone of his guilt. And why is that? We found a handwritten confession at his desk. Well, that's unexpected. I'm sorry, you're now telling me that he wrote a confession? Has it been verified? Not yet. You have to muscle past everyone in fraud and disinfo to get to the front of that line. Why bother? The note's covered in his fingerprints. There's a copy in the discovery data, but I should warn you, it doesn't exactly make for light reading. I'll have to manage somehow. I need to see this confession for myself. Sorry for everything. Can't say it enough. Didn't mean to hurt you or what I did. Did not want any of it to happen. Can't stay in control when I get mad. When I'm not in control, I hurt people without meaning to. Wish I hadn't broken them. Didn't mean to at first. But I was hurting. Wanted you to hurt too, but didn't want to hurt you. Words aren't enough. I know that now. I'll take responsibility and do what I've been avoiding. Please forgive me. That's a little hard to click. That was difficult to read. Fairly legible, in fact. I just wanted the notification to go away, so save. Well, got a spin on that? No need. It's a confession. Not a confession that he signed, though, is it? Not yet. And not one he intends to sign anytime soon, considering that he asked for representation. Yeah, the most wanted man in the city asked for a lawyer and got you. Guess you're both lucky. Hardly. I just happened to be awake when the call went out. But I'm not so flush with work that I can afford to turn tail now. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go and speak with my client. What? He's not still handcuffed in there, is he? Look, counselor, with all due respect, we have some strong evidence pointing to the man being responsible for 6 murders. 2 hours or so in cuffs isn't cruel or unusual. And that's for your safety as well. It's kind of you to worry, but I doubt I'll be in any danger. He's killed 6 women. None of them were redheads. Seriously, though. I'd like to speak with him alone now. Camera's off, if you don't mind. Mic's on or off is your call, counselor. We'll be watching the feed from right outside, in case anything happens. And the cuff, that is, always stays on. That worried about me, huh? How chivalrous. Yeah, my armor's practically blinding. Gross, I'll start at the unlock cycle. Counselor, just one last word of advice. If you have any interest in his well-being, I suggest you help him sign that confession. Not a bad idea. I do get paid either way. But in the defense part of defense attorney isn't just for show, detective. I mean it. 6 people dead is one thing, but he's also caused weeks of widespread terror and public unrest. Put in another way, he's made the state look bad. That's a capital crime if there ever was one. And even if the death penalty's not actually on the table these days, I can guarantee he's not going to like whatever rehabilitation plan they draw up for him. Look, I've seen the virtual work release program in person, and it's... Hey there! Due to ongoing controversy following the suspected suicide of inmate Jay Galloway, the search results for this term were temporarily blocked. Read more about how we cooperate with authorities to combat disinformation here. Being challenged before the Supreme Court. Yeah, sometime in the next decade, maybe. Just remember, a plea deal might feel like a loss for you, but if it keeps him from, well, that's probably a win for your client, right? Prison sentences are generally lighter for those who plead guilty, that much is true. Saves the courts a great deal of time and money, and they show their gratitude with reduced sentencing. But no one will be grateful towards the heartbreak killer. Ever be grateful. Anyone convicted for killing 6 people, they'll never rest their mind another day in their life. 3:35, June 5th, 2086. Stop checking something real quick. Okay. Let's continue. It's depressing as hell in here. They need to liven this place up. Carla's flat, right? Hope you don't mind if I get comfortable. We got a lot to cover. This shouldn't take all night. What are you? I mean, look, I already told you people, I'm not a cop, Carlos. Fry the thing from it. I'm a lawyer. Your lawyer, in fact. And I'm here to help you. Yeah, well, they said that too. All of them did. Back there, in here, kept repeating it the whole ride over. They said that they were going to help me. They knew this was all a mistake. Then they said that I killed, acting like they were on my side. Then they thought that I could have, It's not their job to help you, Carlos. But it is mine, and I'm here now. He's still in shock. I need more information, but if I approach this the wrong way, he'll just clam up even more. I'm sure you're exhausted. It's probably difficult to think, let alone speak. I would like you to try and answer a few questions. The police already questioned you, I'm sure. They were treating you as a suspect, not as a client. Okay. So what do you want to know? Let's start simple. Something mundane, grounded route. I'd like to know a bit more about you first, Carlos. Something like, what line of work are you in? With city engineering? Or was until I should be. As I thought, the police must have convinced that he mapped the optics blackouts using the data he stole from work. My arm, I got it slotted for the job. And, Carlos, I'm gonna need more than that. What do I know? He works in city engineering, not a desk job. Reyes says he was modded for work, and that arm must be in custody at the moment, but based on his shoulder, it would have to be pretty... Charles Berrigan, yeah, he doesn't strike me as the type who's enamored with the aesthetics of modding. The young and the restless and the rich swatching neon and chrome limbs because they like the way it looks. Oh, just the plot of Repo. Or the way it makes other people start looking at them. No, he's pragmatic, grounded, and very unlucky. In which case, I should be too. You know, my brother wanted to mod. Really? Really? Don't even have a brother. He had everything planned out. Whole career path and promotions and bonuses and the upgrades they'd afford him. Then came his 18th birthday present. Test results politely informing him that he's not a viable candidate. That sucks. I think he felt relieved, actually. Seemed like it was a weight off his chest. He was glad that he didn't have to choose. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I think it does. I always figured if I'd start at all, I'd start small and hand or an eye. Test the water. Never thought about lobbing my whole damn arm off, but the recruiter was enthusiastic. He said, because of the NCDA, there's financial aid and resources. Of course, that shit can. Now me and every other modder is royally screwed. Can't even let me keep the tax credit. New Citizens with Disabilities Act was amended, not repealed. But I doubt he'd appreciate the distinction at the moment. I work the tighter spaces, the high-volt environments, mostly canopy upkeep. Typically stuff for modders, you know? He's speaking freely now, don't need to do too much more than repeat his words back to him to keep him talking. The right word choice here or there can still make a difference. You work on the canopy, you must be under a lot of pressure now as the subways are cordoned off. Damn straight, and this crap was long. Once word got out that the case against him was real, every desk job in the chain became terrified of their own shadow. All of them convinced that internal affairs is going to come knocking if they misplace so much as a paperclip. Everything by the book means no room for compromise, no room for problem solving, no room for engineering. Yeah, and no patience for screw-ups. He's trying very hard to not look at his shoulder. Why aren't you wearing your prosthetic right now, Carlos? Yeah, that rejection issue starting last month. A lot of sleepless nights. Rejection, did the therapy not take? Stay informed. Human process of adjusting the human mind and body for the unique challenges and stresses that come with cybernetic body mods. Typically includes physical therapy, mental technique instruction, and sensitivity training. Depending on an individual's viability or lack thereof, modifications and even minor viral tuning may be employed to modify the body's immune response, but improvements made in recent years in medically sterile alloys have greatly reduced the percentage of patients who require such treatment. It's not like that. Wasn't oozing piss out of my sockets or anything. Then do these rejection issues have anything to do with your scars? Not in the way you're thinking. I'm right-handed. So those cuts on his face are from shaving. Never thought this would go on so long I'd have to relearn how to do everything. I mean, the problem started small, trembling, but then spasms. Just oversensitivity, they said. An easy fix. But the problem got bigger. Couldn't let it get that far. You need to be able to trust your own hands when you're on the job site. Drop a cutter at the wrong moment, and people could get hurt. So I sat down, made an appointment, turned in my arm, and watched my pace get placed at the back of the damn line. Where did you turn it in? Some mass turnaround shop with a waiting list like you wouldn't. Doesn't sound like you're a happy customer. Hell no! I found a dozen other clinics with shorter wait times. But as long as I'm renting and not owning, the manufacturer decides where your arm gets maintenance. Average wait list, 40 business days. And that's why I'm sitting here with this expensive-ass stump for a shoulder. Haven't been able to work for weeks. bosses were generous enough to say my position might still be available when I've got 2 working arms again. You couldn't buy or rent a replacement yourself, just in the meantime. I serve at the pleasure of the state. And they've got exclusivity contracts with Hindi, all locked up white knuckle tight. Hindi? How Industries? How Industries is the world leader in the research, development, manufacturing, and fitting of cybernetic prosthetics for commercial and private use. And we're hiring. We're seeking motivated and passionate archivists, programmers, salespeople, and college graduates with degrees in digital archaeology, cybernetic anatomy, and more. Not interested in sponsored search results? See further with a premium account. As I recall, he's registered with one of their habits models. I took one step outside with uninsured tech. Forget the fines, I'd lose the down payment and my arm. I'd never work in the city again. This was last quarter, maybe I could have worked something out with management, but like I said, no one's sticking their neck out for anyone now that slongs in deep hot shit. You mentioned discomfort. Are you in pain? Likes airports, worn shoes, firm beds. Dislikes cabs, musicals, cashews. Favorite flower, poppy. Student debt, sizable. Luck, 4. Pain will come and go. It's the itches that kill ya. And the phantoms come back pretty fast. So I don't have anything phantom pain, I presume. Showing results for phantom pain. Pain or discomfort that the brain experiences as coming from an amputated part of the body. When stimuli stops coming from a part of the body that is no longer there, the areas of the nervous system that were previously devoted to the processing of those sensations reconfigure themselves to still be in use. Occasionally, the brain mistakes this new sensory processing as still being associated with the pain or sensation from the amputated limb. Because of the large mental element at play, therapy for phantom pain reduction necessarily involves psychological conditioning and often the use of prosthetics. Phantom pain has become more widely experienced and understood as a result of the spread of the body modification movement. Debate over whether the modern scene has increased or decreased public empathy for amputees and disabled remains contentious. Did she mean phantom visions? Phantom visions are caused by faulty insulation on cybernetic eye mods, resulting in periodic electrical discharge across the retina. Schedule a consultation immediately if you suspect this applies to you. Users also frequently search for "my mod hurts," "mod or itching," "is my arm haunted," "is my arm haunted." This is a reminder, everyone, play Metal Gear Solid V, The Phantom Pain. Okay. Arm shape attached to me. Didn't they give you something to, well, wear in the meantime? Something in the clinics laid out for cases like this? What they gave me is a dead weight, 3-jointed landfill bait piece of shit. Sorry, it's a very shitty feeling having a part of your body that you know they cut corners on. It fits, it's compatible, technically I can slot it in and be on balance again. But the fingers don't even bend, and the quick twitch motors are way off. It's like walking around with your arm asleep or dead. So you were wearing it when you were arrested? No, I wasn't, but I'm pretty sure I saw the police bagging it as evidence, though. Can't have gone too far. So Detective Reyes is quite literal about how he was found. He had the victim's arm on his left arm only because at the time of question he didn't have a right. No inconsistencies in the story so far, and he's opened up about as well as can be expected. But it's all just been a warm-up for the both of us. Now comes the delicate part. Carlos, you and the victim were romantically involved. How long did you two know each other? Right. I've known her since college. We shared a few cases, some mutual friends. Always got along. Eventually, we just got together at some point. Guess I've never actually asked her the real formal way. Sounds pretty cowardly saying that out loud. Diane, she was in genetics, focused her studies in agriculture. It always takes them a few tries to get used to using past tense. Just finished her post-grad work this year. Got hired right out of the gate. Practically headhunted. You believe that? Practically headhunted. Of course she was. Any company'd be lucky to get her. Unlike, it was a real ass job. Paid real ass money too. Oh, sorry, real ass. So good money. Not ass job, ass money. And hyphens are important. Don't shift them. So her career was starting to pan out. Right as yours had fallen to the mother of all slumps. Where was she hired? Pedigree? No, Peregree Laboratories. I say that like the name matters. The whole setup's under Herico's umbrella. That doesn't narrow it down. The Harvest Corporation grows a third of the soybeans and corn in the entire country. One client that side the lab wouldn't need any others. Now, no corporation earns the mega prefix without a little throat cutting, but Harco's about as tame as big businesses can get. Predictable like the seasons, no one's going to buy that they had some lab tech murdered because of corporate greed. Had she adjusted well to her new job? Yeah, they loved having her there. She never mentioned arguments or disputes, corporate politics getting rough. I don't think so. Not like I've been a good listener lately, but I never got the impression that she... Look, no one I know could do this to her, and there's nothing she could have done that would deserve what happened to her. It was a long shot, hoping for a disgruntled character from her past to shift blame onto. With no other suspects, I can't just reshuffle the detective's suspicions. I'll have to disprove their argument entirely. Thank you, Carlos. That was very helpful. It was? And I'd like you to try and tell me whatever you can about what happened tonight. Start at the beginning and take your time. The details are important. Alright, Miss, Morgan. I'll try, Morgan. When you're ready. We were arguing. We had been arguing a lot lately. Arguing about stupid stuff. I haven't been working, haven't been making money, haven't been pulling my weight. I was mad at myself, but more than that, I was jealous of her. Jealous over nothing. Jealous over goddamn money. The reports say you were arguing around 8 p.m. 8? Yeah, must have been when we started. We got into it and I said a lot of things that I shouldn't have. And I said one thing that I really shouldn't have. I crossed the line and we both knew it, so I left. You left? Yeah, I walked out the front door. I thought some fresh air might help me cool off. Help me figure out what to say to make it up to her. Of course, the air wasn't fresh, just humid, thick like mud. And while I was pissing away the time, Diane was... You bring your phone with you or any other electronics? No. No, I kind of stormed off, didn't even take my key fobs. Didn't even lock the door behind me. With optics down, traffic and street level cameras won't help when that leaves. You go through a checkpoint or talk to anyone with modded eyes? You buy anything, cash or credit? No, not even a vending machine. Not even a damn vending machine, huh? I may have met my match. How can anyone be this unlucky? That's quite unfortunate. I just wanted quiet at the time, wanted to wallow in it, really. Sorry if I don't have all the details quite right. My head is... My exact route would help. The cams probably... What? What is it? Optics was what? Can that even happen? There's no other proof that you were out at the time Diane was killed? Meaning you've got no alibi. This can't... Listen, I didn't do this. I couldn't. Carlos, I'm the one person you don't have to try and convince. After all, I'm your lawyer. So let's just get it all out there and see what we've got to work with. Right. Now you said you've left to clear your head. So what made you come back? I came back because I heard a noise. A loud noise. Didn't know what it was. It was loud and it scared me. It came from the direction of our apartment. I was walking back at first, but at some point I must have started running, because when I got back I was so out of breath. When I saw that the front door was open, something dropped in my chest and my lungs wouldn't. You live on the first floor, right? Yeah, first floor apartment, street facing entrance. We were proud of that when we first moved in, like it was some kind of big deal. From the hallway I saw her, but I didn't realize. I never thought that she was. The lights were off, the whole room was a mess. I thought we had been robbed, or she had fallen, or there was broken glass, furniture knocked over. And she was... I called her name and she didn't move. I checked her pulse and she was still warm. Her blood was warm, and I saw the gun. It looked so heavy, but I thought it had to be fake because I didn't want it to be real. Is that why you picked it up? What? Pick it up? I didn't touch that thing. I didn't shoot her, damn it. Doing what I do, you hear a lot of lies. White lies, blatant lies, hasty lies. Bad lies, especially. For me, it's always been easy to spot a lie, but it can be hard to know what to do about it. I have all the proof I need in my files, but he's nervous and defensive. None of this works if he doesn't trust me. It's a fact that your fingerprints are on that gun. What? But I didn't do this. I didn't. I wasn't thinking. Carlos. All I'm saying is that you picked it up. That is all. Would you believe me if I said I didn't realize it was a gun? I'm gonna sit for a minute there. That explains how his prints got on the gun, but not in a way that would satisfy the police. Still, all he did was hold the gun. So stupid. I know what a gun looks like. But seeing it in my own home right in front of... You were in shock, Carlos. You still are. Police came in sometime after that. Whew, sorry. It's been a long time since I've talked out loud for 2 hours on anything, streams or otherwise. I did just give an hour-long panel at MagFest, but I think that and the prep for that is probably the longest I've spoken in a while. So sorry if I'm straining a bit at the end here, or hopefully, I don't know how long this is. The rest of my night went probably the way you'd expect. Carlos, you admit to having a verbal argument with Diane, but you said you were surprised to see the room crash when you got back. To clarify, you're saying that the two of you never had a physical altercation? What? Physical? We never fought. We never fought like that. Did the police say that we did? They assumed as much. Which means they also assumed the room was disheveled well before this shooting occurred. Considering what Carlos has told me, what else did they assume? What is it? I'd like you to take a look at something for me. The crime scene. Oh. It's an AR module built from data taken as the police entered, so... Right, it's just that. It's just data, Carlos, no grisly details. Okay. Let me see it. Take your time. Alright, I think I've got it. That's how the police found things. Now close your eyes and think back to how the room looked when you left. Try and focus on what's out of place. Alright. I'll take notes. You just say whatever comes to mind. I don't remember exactly where everything was, but, well, the mirror was upright, of course, and that clock was still on the wall. The chair got knocked over at some point, and the bed got tossed, the cushions torn, and the urn fell. Other than that... No, sorry, that's all that stands out to me. I see. Like so? Another for the screenshot file. What's wrong? Something out of place? Carlos, you need to trust your instinct. If anything seems off, don't be afraid to speak up. It's just, I guess I assumed your notes would be making edits to the AR. Well, I suppose that works too. Sorry, I didn't mean... I think your drawing was pretty good, considering... I'd like to change the subject now, Carlos. Right. Let's talk about the letter that was found on your desk. Letter, what do you mean? I mean, this letter here, do you recognize it? So the police are calling it a confession. A confession? It's just a note to self. Pardon? Look, when we fight, I lose my temper, say things I don't mean to. This morning, I tried writing things down so I'd have a script to stick to. So I could apologize to her instead of fighting with her. Carlos, you say in the note that you hurt them. That's I broke her fidget tubbies. For what? I will show those to you. I know what they look like. Phone. They look like that. Okay, back to Morgan time. Her fidget tubbies. See, I'm on top of this because I'm a detective. They're these collectible ceramic character things. They're supposed to be like tactile, use them as paperweights or conversation starters. Conversation starters. She loves those little things. They're not worth a damn. You can buy them at any flea market or garage sale, but they meant a lot to her, and I broke them. I mean, I was pissy at the time, but they have been submitted into evidence. Wow. An acquired taste. But that goddamn piece of shit rental arm, I hardly know when I'm swinging it half the time. So I got so angry I just ripped it off and tossed it in my room. That cheap, dusty, worthless. Okay, let's say he did break her Frigiduckies with his replacement arm. What does that change? Nothing at the moment. There's not enough detail in the note for me to prove what his intent was when he sat down to write it. But if the police insist on claiming it's a confession for the heartbreak killings anyway, I didn't even bother to sweep them up. I felt so... Alright, Carlos, thanks for answering my questions. Now I'm going to call the police back in here. I'm going to get this cleared up for you. What, that's it? That's it? Oh, okay. Although before I do that, I do have to ask. What do you know about the heartbreak killer? Heartbreak? You mean that psycho who was trending all month? I mean, as much as anyone, I guess. I haven't been getting out much, but I'm sure everybody's on edge, a guy like that out there. He shoots people. Through the heart, right? The police have kept the victim's appearances far away from any upstanding news sources. So unless he was already following the murders, Carlos wouldn't notice any resemblance to his girlfriend. I mean, she was shot in the chest, but that doesn't mean anything, does it? If he's this slow on the uptake, it's going to be a real shock when those officers walk in and accuse him of being a serial killer. I'll just have to squash that theory as quickly and definitively as possible. 4:04 a.m., June 5th, 2086. I didn't realize you could smoke in here. Is she smoking in her coffee? Technically, I can smoke wherever I want. Code 9316 smoking in a non-smoking area for a fee. I guess so. Nervous, don't be. I'm the one who's on the clock. Right, I'm sure this isn't your first time doing this. No, of course not. It will be my first homicide defense, though. Oh, why does everyone think the first time's so goddamn important? Hey, cheer up! I've got relevant experience in other areas. Oh, and what areas are those? You ever gamble, Carlos? No, ma'am, I never go anywhere near loot boxes. God, we just don't have casinos anymore. Just won't touch the stuff. I meant more like playing cards. Oh, well then, no, not to that too. I've got pretty terrible luck. Could have fooled me. Well, what I do is a lot like poker, Carlos. Poker's nice because even if you're dealt nothing but crap all night long, you can still win. Which makes things pretty fun. Okay, so, do you have a good poker face? Like to think so. And are you lucky? Only when the stakes are high. And in this metaphor, we're playing poker. And the state's the dealer? If only. No, the state's more like... Also, this seems like a good spot to save real quick. Sorry, it gets a little weird just doing this all with the right stick and trigger. The house. You mean like the house always wins? Yes. They're very good at it. Winning, I mean. That's why they're up there and we're down here. That's why they're the house. So what do? We play the cards we're dealt as best as we can. Win more hands than we lose. Keep it up and eventually someone will come over and tap the dealer on the shoulder, whisper something in their ear, and will be politely asked to leave. That doesn't sound very triumphant. The house always wins. So our definition of victory is more like, don't lose. Thanks, Morgan. But I guess I was more asking, like, what should I say? Just leave all the talking to me. So that's the strategy. What's up? You know there's a saying about gamblers' strategies. Yo, ready to confess yet? I already woke up the DA. Already? She must be new. District attorneys have final say on whether a case is brought to trial. Only fair, since they're the ones who end up having to actually prove the damn thing. Most of them prefer simple guilty pleas over long, protracted trials. They all dislike having their time wasted. Unfortunately, then, you'll have to call them back, because my client is not guilty. And frankly, I'm not even sure you have enough to hold him here. Right. She said. Got a weird sense of humor, counselor. Different generations, I guess. For my time kind of thing. She's like 3 years old. I'm very serious when it comes to defending a man's innocence, detective. Counselor, we have your client's written confession. His written confession, let's start there. Okay, well, we'll be happy to. The thrust of every argument starts with the facts, so it's already known and agreed upon. Public knowledge for every player at the table. This means we get to bust out a bunch of one of my favorite emotes. I don't know what she'll say when she objects, but I've got my objection emote. No, that's wrong. Pretty simpler. Real paint by number stuff. See, we found a note at his apartment with his fingerprints on it. Apologizing for how he hurt them all so bad. Now, how are you planning on spinning that? Those are the facts. But I've been building up my hand all night, and now I've got the weapons to answer anything they try and throw at me. Well, my client did write that note, and it was an apology, but not for murder. He was apologizing for... He was simply apologizing for this. The hell is that? I found myself asking that exact same question. What are we looking at here? Something from the crime scene? This diagram of the room, it's created from data you captured, right? Pure, non-GMO. Why would it be? Okay, augmented reality crime scene data, yeah. What's non-GMO? Not much these days. I guess that also tracks. Notice anything out of place? Yeah, the whole room's full of busted shit. It's the scene of a murder. Full of busted shit for sure. But I was more referring to the unidentified ceramic debris from the western side of the room. Hell is that? Ceramic debris, huh? Must be from the vase that got tossed. Actually, that's not possible. Oh? It's that vase. Hold on. Fraction. Perfect. Because that vase is still pristine. How is that? How is that possible? I don't think the defendant should. Lady at that garage sale told me it was so old and delicate. Damn it, the one time I try and thrift shop on my own. Well, so what? What does it even matter? The vase doesn't have a scratch on it. The debris must have come from somewhere else. That debris is what my client wrote that apology over. You're saying that that confession was an apology for not vacuuming? I am, because that pile of rubble is all that remains of the victim's collection of fidgemabob. Fidget tubbies. What he said. Mr. Flat broke the victim's ceramic figures by accident. And this impassioned note to self was just his attempt at scripting an apology. Can you prove that? We're taking this seriously? As much as I wish we weren't. We're all in agreement that my client wrote that note. And we can all plainly see that there's ceramic debris at the crime scene. Now, since it couldn't have come from the vase, it must have come from the collectibles. Simple, right? How are you on about? The entire room was trashed. The arcs clearly shows. Those fidget tubbies must have got pulverized during the struggle, too. You really going to claim you sat down to write an apology for breaking the stories after gunning her down? Not a bad train of thought, but I can do better. No, those collectibles were destroyed much earlier than that. There's proof. I want to say rental. Let's take a closer look at the rental you took into custody, because it should still have biometrics and shit. One flash of your finger should show exactly how devastating it was to the fickle body ecosystem. It's fidget tubbies. Whatever. You did take it into custody. I'm sure your text found ceramic debris on it, yes? Now that you mention it, fine, whatever, he broke him with his arm while he was killing her. Happy? Overjoyed, because even a cheap arm's got an operating system that log the last time it was worn, right? Right. See, I happened to spot a footnote on the lab report. Report said rental hadn't used since the AM. Whose side are you on, old man? It's gotten pretty late, Sunshine. Just trying to save us all some time where I can. Well, thank you for your service. Well, thank you for your service. You seriously buying this crap? Just look at how scrawled, how panicked that note is. You expect me to believe he was that upset over a fidget tubby collection? One that hasn't even been graded? Saw that coming when she corrected her Setting aside Detective Race's surprising depth of knowledge when it comes to collectibles, you're correct, they held no real monetary value. It would be odd for Carlos to be so shaken over their loss. But so what? So what? After all, that's not panic you're seeing on that page. No, the only reason that note looks the way it does is because Carlos is right-handed. Carlos is right-handed. Yes, I am. Did they not know that? Shouldn't that be on my permanent record or something? So the reason why that note looks asylum wall scribbles is just because he had to use his left hand to write it. I tend to think better writing than typing, and I need to get used to using my left hand anyways. I just thought it could be good practice. Taking that into account, alongside the ceramics, your slam dunk confession is looking about as watertight as a fishnet. That's right. Your slam dunk confession is looking about as watertight as a fishnet. Okay, fine. Forget about the confession. Congratulations, counselor. You've established that your client's remorseless. Now let's get back to the reality of the situation. Here are the facts. We found your client at the scene of the crime, wearing a coat covered in the victim's blood. Right to a big old goddamn gun that just so happened to have fingerprints on it. That's right, that coat is... What, you're going to claim it's not his, that he actually wears an extra small? She's trying to bait me in her typical low-key fashion. She must have something. No sense playing into it. Something you'd like to ask me, detective? I'm just curious, what'll be next? You going to tell me he actually wears an extra small? Gee, Carlos, do you? No. Yeah. Sure there's no evil twin you've forgotten to mention? Stay. No, I'm afraid not. Not even going for a mysterious third party at the scene of the crime? To prove his innocence, I will need to get there eventually, but going there now without hard evidence? I'm quite confident that my client isn't guilty, so there must have been a third individual at some point. That's cute. Only problem is, the arcs show plain as day that there's no evidence of anyone but Carlos being there that night. So keep dreaming. Okay, I wanted to try. See what it would do. It was obvious she had something there. I wasn't going to win with that hand either way. There's no reason for me to play her punching bag. We're not contesting any of that, detective. My client freely admits to holding that gun. He picked it up in confusion after coming home to find a brutal crime scene, which was not smart. Hey, not illegal either. And that's all? He had her blood all over his clothes. Yes, he did. Do you have those clothes on hand, by the way? Well, I'm finished with them a while ago. What are you getting at? It'll be easier to just show you. Would you mind getting them for me? You know what? Sure, I could use the fresh air. Stinks of bullshit in here anyways. Here I thought the room smelled like... Morgan, what are you doing? My coat's covered in her blood. I remember that much, so that doesn't, make me look really bad. Just relax, Carlos. I'm pretty sure that's impossible. You're innocent. And that means that having more evidence will always help you, not hurt you. Really? Really? Not really. Plenty of innocent people in prison. People with bad luck. Or bad lawyers. People shouldn't count on the truth to come out easy. More often than not, it takes coaxing. One bloodstained jacket fresh from the lab. No. That would be silly. She actually thought it over. So what the hell's your point? Hey, sorry, I just got thrown off by the turn of good fortune. What good fortune. You shouldn't thank the detective for bringing you your jacket, Carlos. Just proving your innocence. I was arrested wearing this coat. You wouldn't have been wearing it at the time of murder. It has the victim's blood on it, who we know died when she was shot in the heart by a gun that happens to be an old-world pre-tagging firearm. And until this coat proves he couldn't have been the shooter. Is there a gas leak in here? In what world does that make any sense? Sense happens to be key here. I just need to draw their attention to what they can. Just do me one more favor, detective. Tell me what you smell. Don't smell anything except red blood. Exactly. The coat smells like blood, but it doesn't smell of cigarette. That's what I've been smelling. Yes, Detective London, I was smoking earlier. Could you rejoin the conversation? I've been listening. You wanted me to smell the jacket. If you would. Let's see. Huh. No gunpowder. What? What about gunpowder? Oh, don't blame yourself for not noticing. This was before your time. You can't be more than a few years older than me. But not before your partners, it seems. See, gunpowder's weak by today's standards, but it's still volatile stuff, hard to store, prone to misfiring. And when it goes bang, it leaves behind an awful lot of evidence. How is she talking about, London? Modern firearms like the ones we carry use electricity, magnetism, even air pressure or sound waves. You got a lot more accuracy, more firepower, less recoil, less noise. And they don't leave behind any residue. Gunpowder residue. You talk my ear off about how difficult it is tracking down a gun that doesn't leave digital traces. But a revolver like this one? It would leave gunpowder on the skin whoever fired it for days. So then his coat. If you don't trust your noses, you can check the lab report. I think if they had found any gunpowder on my client or his clothes, they would have taken the time to highlight it. Well, whatever, Baka. That just means that he washed off after shooting her, or he changed his clothes. It's not impossible. It would be pretty pointless to wash off the gunpowder and not the blood. His jacket and his left hand were blood-soaked when your officers found him. Would he really go through all the effort to get rid of something as subtle as gunpowder residue, just to get the victim's blood all over himself afterwards? In light of these details, I'd like to formally request that you reconsider the charges Mr. Flatt is facing, as soon as possible. Whoa. They're faltering now, should topple over at any moment. The letter is mostly icing on the cake for them. That gun was all they had to link Carlos to any of the shootings. So if it looks like he never actually fired the gun, I'll admit things were a little dicey there at times. But once I was able to grasp the situation, smaller pieces fell into place easily enough. Not my cleanest work by far. Overall, I'd say. Did she get a message? Wait, did they actually message to find it? Something you'd like to share, Detective Reyes? You're good. Twisting the truth into knots, making the facts work for you. Wow. Save. I think we're getting close. Thanks. But your luck just ran out. Because the net scrubbers found a cam active at the exact moment of the shooting, and right now, I'm staring at a photo of the killer. Wanna bet? A photo of the shooter? If she had that, we wouldn't still be talking, but I doubt she's just pulling us out of her ass. She's got something from the scrubbers. It's a bold bluffer this late in the game, Detective. Especially when we both know that there was an optics blackout during the shooting. That's just it. This isn't from optics. I should have figured you wouldn't make a claim that bold without something to back it up. Party's over, counselor. Feast your eyes on this. Well, okay, the quality is lacking. And yet there it is. They managed to find a quarter needle of evidence in a whole block of haystacks. What are the goddamn chances? Know what the scale their tools operate on. I guess the chances are, as always, in their favor. Right, this isn't good, but it's a far cry from the worst case scenario I envisioned. You'd even say I got lucky, which means the stakes are, well, what's a little bit blurry? Don't look at me, I didn't take the damn thing. Technically, no one took it. It's like at the time of the shooting, a neighbor was on their phone, probably venting about how crazy the couple across the way was acting. Their phone was on, its camera would be on. And so we managed to get the shot through the window. Where to begin? Far away, unfocused, ultra-low resolution, zoomed in, blurred, color shifted, and so compressed it looks like it's from another century. There are tools that could enhance this image any further, and I could count the pixels on one hand. And you could kiss its admissibility in court goodbye. You can't honestly claim that you can identify my client from this image. There's no way in hell you could get this past a judge. Yeah, you're probably right, we couldn't. But I think I know a DA that could. Either way, it doesn't seem like your client's leaving this police station anytime soon. That photo, what the hell is happening to me? Think I know a DA that could? Don't be so modest, old man. We have photo evidence of a left-handed shooter standing in the hallway the same time the whole neighborhood heard a gunshot. Camera not set to photo mode. It's already been cleaned up as much as admissible. Who didn't know that had their left hand fingerprints all over that gun? Referring to my client. You think? We've established he wasn't wearing his modded arm at all tonight, so he must have shot with his left. Yes, and we've also established he's weak with his left side, a left side that had no gunpowder whatsoever. Forensics will never be perfect, counselor. Sometimes we miss things. Sometimes you take a walk through the rain, and when you finally get where you're going, you somehow end up dry. That doesn't mean it didn't rain. All of which is to say, before judge or jury, photographic evidence outweighs a failed sniff test. Carlos is innocent. I know he is, but that photo shows a left-handed shooter. Carlos is innocent. That photo is real. If both are true, that means that photo doesn't show what it appears to show. It's not in camera mode, it's flipped. I'd have to see the positioning of the room, but that is my gut. Never. I'm just confused about one thing. Where was this photo taken from exactly? Positional data is only accurate to the nearest public router. If we DN on the phone's owner and ask them where, why bother with any of that? That clock is backwards. Wait, because this took place at 3 a.m.? No, it took place at like 9, so I guess that is... Wait. That is showing 9, so I don't know. Sorry, it's not that... If this is from the north, then why? It's not that complicated. The neighbor who got the shot must live on the other side of the street. So we're looking at the bedroom from the north window. She's wrong. I should seize the opportunity to start turning the tide. Okay, I think now I start to raise. Oh, it actually like says what you're trying to state if you hold it there. I should have done that before my other presses. This photo has to have been taken from the west. What kind of bluff is that supposed to be? The good detectives are misinformed here, and I need to take advantage of it. Time to press the initiative. The hell do you mean this was taken from the west? The autopsy tells us the victim was shot from the doorway. The officer's ARCS tells us the precise location of everything in the room at the time that they arrived. Now your photo has shown us the exact moment of the shooting, and altogether that tells us this photo must have been taken through the west window, as long as you consider. It's gotta be the... Take one look at the clock in that photo. Clock? What about it? Seems like London's got an idea. If he's mistaken, I could pounce on it. Keep my tempo high. Photo was taken right before the shooting, so wait, don't tell me the time of death is wrong. I'm 50-50 on this. Let me double check my evidence real quick. Bird's eye. Good question, Detective London, but the answer is no. The autopsy, the clock, and the neighbors all agree the time of death was 9 p.m. Right, no mistaking that. What the hell were you on about? The clock on the wall in this photo, analog style, and it reads 9 o'clock. 9 p.m. the time of the shooting. What the hell's so special about that? Nothing. There's nothing odd about the time the clock reads, but do you remember there being a clock in the room? What? Actually, I don't recall there being a clock. That makes sense, you wouldn't recall seeing a clock. Because when the police secured the scene, the clock had already been knocked onto the floor. The only clock in that room is at the northeastern corner. My client has informed me that before the crime it was hung up on the eastern wall. Like so. What the hell is that supposed to mean? An artistic rendition. It's very distinct. If you had information on how the crime scene was before the shooting, why didn't you just add that to the arcs? And show you my hand? Just because discovery law compels to share info doesn't mean we have to play fair detective. Shit, slipped my mind. I'll do that now. The important thing is, if that clock was on the eastern wall before the shooting occurred, this photo must be looking through the western window to see it. Don't start getting ahead of yourself. The victim was shot at 9 p.m. The same time that this photo was taken of the shooter. But you want to claim that clock's still on the eastern wall when it would have been knocked down during the fighting. You've got your logic backwards, detective. Your previous photo shows that the room was in pristine at the time of the shooting, and that there's one other piece of evidence that proves exactly how the cards fell. The debris was already there. By the western window. Yeah, it smashed up way earlier in the morning. The hell's that have to do with anything at that point? Oh. Very little, actually. To move forward, I need to establish the room wasn't disheveled until after the shooting occurred. Okay, hold on. I see. Only that they're on top of the victim's body and not under it. If the glass fell on top of the victim's body, that would mean she was dead on the ground before the time the room got trashed. That doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone trash the room afterwards? It's a good question, Carlos. Probably to make her, probably to make him look like he did it. Luckily, it's the detectives who have to delve into the minds of the criminally insane, not us. Tell me, detectives, were there any signs of a struggle at the other crime scenes? Other crime scenes? Nothing like that. Those attacks would have been over in a matter of seconds. What did you think when you saw the mess in the bedroom? This was personal and things again complicated. Shit happens. Shit does happen, detective. But in this case, it seems as there had been a general misconception of which the order that shit happened. So what if the room didn't get tossed over until afterwards? He still shot her. We have a photo right here. I'm glad you do, Detective, because that photo proves my client's innocence. Ha! Proving that wasn't my client who pulled the trigger is difficult, because he doesn't have the arm on. Maybe more importantly for us, time-consuming. Thanks to your photo, I can prove that it couldn't have been my client who pulled the trigger, because the man in that photo can't possibly be Carlos. He has 2 arms. Like hell it can't. The last shards prove that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. Note that until the room was tossed, the clock was on the eastern wall, which means that this photo of the shooter was taken from the west. After that shit, that's impossible. The only hallway in that apartment runs north to south. The only person with prints on that gun is your client. The only fact that matters is he used it to murder 6 innocent people. You're a very honest person, Detective. Excuse me? That's why you're such a shitty gambler. You played your cards too early, and now I can steal the pot out from right under you. You're right about the hallway's orientation. You're right about the prints. And this HK figure has claimed 6 lives. We aren't looking at the hallway in that photo. What? What we're seeing is... Sort of. By the way, do you recall where those glass shards came from? Yeah, sure, they came from a standing mirror. Mirror that, at the time of the shooting, stood across from the room in the western window. And that would mean that angle from that viewpoint would reflect the hallway. So we're not seeing a shooter with a gun in the left hand. That does make it 3 a.m., like I said. I thought we knew from the autopsy. Oh, wait, so... Oh, she'll sort it out. Like, I knew there was right-handed because of Flip, but... And as we all know, my client hasn't had a working right arm in a number of weeks. And he hasn't worn his rental since this morning. So what I meant what I said about that photo. I'm glad that this was recovered, because it just proved that my client couldn't have possibly committed this crime. That should be the end of it, except it looks like Detective Reyes really is a novice gambler. Some Cost has got her teeth in her now, clawing her up her spine, whispering wounded pride in her heart. It's a cold sweat, palms kind of fever, the impotent, irrational fury of losing something that you thought was guaranteed yours. Lucky for you, Detective. Well versed in sunk costs. You look dissatisfied, Detective Reyes. That's one word for it. Well, we put a nice blow on it. In summary, my client's so-called confession was a note to self. The police found him in a shock and arrested him for being next to a gun he forensically couldn't have fired. After being confronted with these facts, he received photographic evidence at the exact moment of the shooting. And instead of utilizing said photo to track the real killer, you tried to claim it depicted my client, a man without the requisite limb, standing in an architecturally impossible hallway. He could have had a backup arm. He could have stolen one. A little stubbornness can be charming. This kind of desperation is ugly. It's getting late. Time to bare my fangs. A bit. That's the best you've got? Even a bare-bones prosthetic at the black market needs to be attuned to an individual's nervous system. You'd have to bring it to a clinic which would have left a record on the shoulder OS. A record you won't find. And you'd still have to somehow gotten rid of it before the police arrived. SOP at the scene of a violent crime calls for a full-spectrum scanning of the entire building and 100 meters around at minimum. So wherever Detective Reyes did manage to hide his cybernetic arm from your drones in between the shooting and his arrest. Okay, I think that is the end of the demo. Well, any objections? Detective? God. Damn it. She folds. That was fun. Let's see if anyone is still alive. Wrong button. show me your hand a lot. Just save real quick. Okay, we're just going to cut out here. It might not technically be done with episode 0, but that's like the achievement unlock, so I'm just going to call it there. See if anyone is still alive. It is getting a little late. Following. Like Rhythm Bastard is playing Papers, Please. I'm going to send you Rhythm Bastard's way. Thanks all for hanging out. Thank you, Aaron Gobra, again for the raid. And let's send you all along. Hi there. So we cut off a little abruptly there, and this is just like an hour afterwards. I went back to close out the chapter since I know it closed it at the achievement. I did in the stream a few minutes earlier than I should have. It turns out I didn't get through the full chapter 0, but like just playing through the next few lines to try and close out, I realized that it did go ahead and drop some big bombshells that I were telegraphed and I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting to hear from so soon. So we're going to dive back in and just load my save from that. I did get one achievement there, as you saw, and if you were eagle-eyed, you saw kind of the revelation I had, the updated character profile that warranted. I didn't go all the way just because I wanted to get it recorded. So sorry if this won't be a proper reaction to any of this. Fairly unfazed, other than it feels like they showed their hand faster than I thought. So, but all the cut-ins did kind of lend themselves to that. Game is a little slow to load, almost there. Just on the Steam Deck today. Work of fiction. Right. I hope it's saved at the right spot. Long night. That was too far just now. Practically rubbing it in his face. It's not like I care about his feelings. I doubt I'll ever see him again. But overstepping like that is pure hubris, and hubris invites a downfall. So why did I even bother? Wait, hold on, did it? Darn, okay, it did auto-save. Let me see if I can get back to where I actually was. Quick. Oh, good. 2158. I want the one that was at 2008, so that would be right when I cut off. Taking this seriously as much as I wish we weren't. Darn, I have to redo. Yeah, this feels like way too far back. I was mad when I left the apartment. I know she was mad too. So when she died, death was instantaneous, Carlos. I can't imagine that she was in any pain. No, that's too far. Sorry, I will have to go through that earlier save. Bear with me for a moment. I know I'm talking to myself since this isn't actually live on Twitch. Let's see if I can just power through. What I did earlier. There's no evil twin. Sorry, I just always have to. Man, I wish the saves were a little further back because I forgot about all the photo stuff. Want to bet? I know I'm doing all the like holding this time. No, I don't want auto on. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we got the summary. Okay, we're back to folding, which is where we left the stream off. Sorry for that little recap speedrun there. But I wanted to make sure that I didn't just do this off stream and have to summarize later. Basically, you're free to go. Congrats, you get to leave the casino with your kneecaps intact. Yay? But what am I supposed to do? The detectives will continue their investigation. Their investigation into heartbreak, huh? Yes. When the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin. And then you can make funeral arrangements. No, that's not what I... Diane being gone is bad enough. But a serial killer? It's like she died of the flu. It doesn't happen anymore. People die of the flu all the time, but... I know what you mean. I can't make sense of it. So what am I supposed to do? Hell if I know. There's some context I could give you. Services, professionals, doctors. No, you've done more than enough for me. When you got here, I was too tired to even defend myself, to try and convince them that I didn't. You saved me. Thank you. You're welcome, Carlos, but it's my job to. No, I mean, thank you for not asking. For not asking if I killed her. Oh, Carlos, I didn't need to ask. I knew you were innocent from the start. Of course he was. After all. The blood's always different. Heart's always in the same place. Easy to find. Hard to miss. But the blood's always different. A flowering stain unfurling towards an invisible sun. A perfectly unique bloom, only one for each of us. A Rorschach test with a singular universal meaning. Vitality at its climax. Bursting forth into a red fractal consisting solely of an infinite the end. But the comical thud of a body hitting the floor has to be its own kind of lowbrow appeal. 259, June 4th, 2086. Bullet number 6 of 6. The gun's empty. Useless to me now. May as well leave it. Feels like a waste, but whatever. Let's get our new profile. We are Heartbreak. We're a criminal defense attorney. We like high places, gambling, and guns. We dislike nosy people, mud, and headphones. Our hobby is batting cages. Favorite dish is mapu tofu, and we cannot carry a tune. Oh, I thought that as I said it out loud, but I went back to confirm that it is criminal, comma, defense attorney. And criminal defense attorney. Like, good stuff. Okay, let's just get another safety save in there so I don't have to redo that again. No, don't delete, just overwrite. Finding the ammo was almost enough of a hassle to outweigh the advantages. I could sell an untagged gun for a fair bit of cash, but cash can't buy you peace of mind. Oh, don't look so surprised, lady. Moping around in the dark here must have only been able to see my silhouette. Did she think I was her boyfriend, back for an encore of that enthralling conversation? Can't ask her now. Hey, did you hear that? These old pieces are so goddamn loud, and people aren't even familiar enough with the sound anyway to know to run the other way. Probably roused half the neighborhood. I didn't see anything it could use as even a partial suppressor on the way in. Can you really not afford some throw pillows? I use the other 5 bullets in outdoor spaces and small spheres of blind opportunity that the city's eyes couldn't think to pierce. Cramped places, usually full of trash. This room, as cheap as it looks, at least clean, organized, even. The corpse adds a certain satisfying contrast. Except, there's shit on the floor. By the window, there are broken pieces of something fragile and tacky. It's fine. It's just one thing out of place. Actually, it's not fine. It's actually really irritating. I kick over the stupid goddamn mirror. 5 perfect crime scenes, each of them not a speck of evidence, nothing to go on. At the final shot, there just has to be some pile of shit in the corner ruining everything. I kick the wall. Something falls from it, probably more tasteless bullshit. I toss over the chair, knock the urn, tear into the sheets with my frustration and try and savor the shredding. If it can't be cleaned, I'll just have to lean into the messy angle. At least it will be consistent. This was also stupid. Honestly, I'm not the ego-driven type. In fact, I pride myself on my humility. Now, it was satisfying when the first 3 went down with single shots. Yes. But so what? I'm not made of stone. After that, I did start to actively aim for the heart, but heartbreak killer? Really? Don't people have anything better to do with their time? What kind of miserable, lifeless voyeurs would obsess over something that's none of their business? All the threads and breakdowns and the goddamn theory crafting. All for the heartbreak killer. Sounds like a soap opera villain from a season where the writers were on strike. I'd feel insulted by the label, but no, that's someone else's name. They came up with it. They spread it. They marketed it. Heartbreak's got nothing to do with me. He's just some reclusive, lonely, socially impotent loser who shot 6 people because... well, I'm not sure people will come up with something. That he got rejected one too many times or whatever. Me, I killed those people because I saw them and wanted to. And I've killed a lot more than just 6. At least the room is thoroughly trashed now. If I had just walked away after seeing that mess by the window, it would have irritated me to no end. Now that doesn't match the ammo, the last 5 perfectly irritate the tops to no end instead. Good riddance, Heartbreak. You enjoy your 15 minutes in the spotlight, really savor it. I'm going home. The air is weighty tonight, thick, energized, a heavily foreshadowed summer rain I can feel on every hair. They call this kind of humidity oppressive, but I disagree. The warm tension on your skin, like those short moments after the shower turns off and the scene lingers. Yeah, it's always most comfortable right afterwards. Maybe there's no disagreement to be had. Oppressive things can be comforting too. Only the guilty ones run. I don't know about that. But I do know I've never felt guilty about any of this. And I walk. June 5th, 2086, 5:01 a.m. Sorry, just using my left distill. That's okay, you can initial in all those spots. I took a scenic route home, courtesy of our fine city's sprawling public transportation, and got in a bit after 11. Had myself a thorough shower, drank a glass of milk, did some stretching, made sure my phone was on. Time went by evenly. Around 1:40, a posting for public defender work came up. Decent rate since it was so late and urgent. I had wagered correctly that the boyfriend would have enough sense to ask for a lawyer, and enough debt that he'd need to be provided one. All I had to do was stay awake. There wasn't much competition after 1 in the morning. Okay, where else? Here and here. How did I phrase it earlier? Criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. Why wouldn't I take on a job where I already knew more than the cops? It would have been easy to convince Carlos to plead out. I would have gotten paid the same too. But easy is dangerous. Carlos was, of course, innocent, so his conviction would never be airtight. There would be doubts, questions, appeals, maybe even fans depending on his looks. More attention on HK and his crimes, more headaches. A cold case rotating in the very far back of the public's awareness is always preferable to one open and shut in haste. And with no more murders matching HK's MO, there won't be any additional public pressure to find a culprit. Now with Heartbreak can just starve to death, out of sight and out of mind like any other fluke in the system. Almost done. Getting involved with the case this intimately does have its risk. Hell, I might have even overdone things here or there. Like letting out the smoke inside an interrogation room just to make my doubly sure I didn't still smell of gunpowder myself. That London fellow seemed more fixated on it than I would have liked, but obviously everything turned out rosy, and it's worth it for the finality of it all. Seeing the authorities' failings from the best seat in the house, that's just a bonus. Thanks again, Morgan, for everything. I'm sure Diane is grateful too. Funny, I didn't even know her name. Something the matter? No, sorry, it's just I was mad when I left the apartment. I know she was too. So when she died, death was instantaneous, Carlos. I can't imagine she was in any pain. In fact, I can guarantee she was hit before she hit the ground. No, I know, but I just keep thinking that she must have died angry at me. She must have died hating me. Tell you the truth, Carlos, there's something I've been wondering about myself. Something I noticed in the Ark City that I didn't quite understand. A piece of the puzzle I couldn't fit in anywhere else. Maybe you can make sense of it. Where did you find that? That pill organizer was found on the victim. She had it grasped in her hand when she died. Obviously, the police added it to the arcs, but it was quickly ruled irrelevant. Seems like it came tripexazone, prescribed to help modders with phantom itches. They're small tablets, and those are tricky class 2 for a pill organizer. Could be hard to handle with an unsteady hand. No one will ever know what she was feeling when she died, even if they did. Feelings are complicated. You can feel angry, happy, and sad all at the same time. But as far as facts is concerned, it would appear that when she died, what she was doing was setting out your medication for the week. To my eyes, anyway. It was R8 501, June 5th. Long night. That was too far just now. Practically rubbing it in his face. It's not like I care about his feelings. I doubt I'll ever see him again. But overstepping like that is pure hubris, and hubris invites a downfall. So why did I even bother? It was the last piece of the puzzle, I suppose. I'll just need to show more restraint next time. There won't be a next time for heartbreak. The gun's in custody, there's no more bullets left. There won't be a 7th victim, there won't be any more leads to pursue. Media will move on to their next obsession. I'll move on to my next MO. And no one will ever found you. District Attorney Rockford. Sorry, can I try that again? I'm so tired. By all means. Counselor Morgan. Morning, noon, or night, you're always so put together. Thank you. I don't get it. How do you sleep at night? Pardon? You do white noise aromatherapy? Whatever you're doing, I need to steal it. God. I must have bags under my eyes dark enough for the dumpsters. Assistant District Attorney Emma Rockford. She's a prosecutor, the lawyer who argues for the state in court, trying to prove a defendant's guilt. And despite her sometimes unkempt appearance, she's probably the sharpest person to fill the position in decades. I should know, since I haven't beaten her once. Worse yet, she has the remarkable ability to compartmentalize all that adversarial energy and only bring it out in the courtroom. Part of what makes her good at her job. And hard for me to read. Can I buy a new mattress? What if they got you doing it this ungodly hour, Emma? He likes coffee, toffee, hot couture. Just like sunburn, dead pixels, and eye strain, eggs, Benedict. Plays chess, shogi, idle savant stars. Cat person, yes. Oh, well, actually, I'm here for you. Your client was a suspect in the Heartbreak killings. That's my case. Well, then you must have been relieved finding out that you won't have to go to trial against me. No? Why would I be worried about going up against you? Always the unintended barbs with her. So you're working with those detectives? Yeah, London and the new girl, Reyes. Been reporting me in preparation for the trial. Preparation for the trial? That seems ambitious. I guess they gave you the rundown. They've been doing everything they can, but it's hard to catch a killer who leaves behind so little. Hard to kill while leaving so little behind. So Reyes told you they had HK in custody and you popped out of bed all excited to run down here. Hardly. I haven't slept in 40 hours. Too much on my mind. So when I heard about a case with a single female victim shot through the heart, yeah, my ears perked up. That's about all. Well, I mean, Carlos Flat, a serial killer? Same serial killer who's outsmarted the state for weeks. He's not using his middle name. He was found with a murder weapon. But I can answer that any number of ways. That may be true, but then I glanced at the report. You glanced at it? No gunpowder residue on him or his clothes. Right. Too remorseful, too apologetic in that note. Whatever it was about. His dominant arm modded. With documented sensitivity issues. Never could have made shots that clean. Not without getting close enough to leave scorch marks. I realize now I'm supposed to be defending myself, so I misplaced that card. Not to mention, he's too tall for the ballistics entry angles. Probably too heavy to not leave imprints. You got all that from a glance? But I'm sure a competent lawyer like that yourself pointed that all out the minute you walked in here. Of course. For this, she's not even being sarcastic. Yeah, of course it couldn't have been him. Long-term relationship, physically imposing, argumentative, not the type to bottle things up. He didn't match the profile. Profile? Yeah, Right, sorry, you probably never heard of it. I know what a goddamn profile is. A profile is a reconstruction of a criminal's psychology based on the evidence from their crimes. Trying to get your dating profile can be a full-time job. Let Valentine take the reign with our automated, secure, and confidential tools that put your better than best foot forward and put the sexy back into finding the right match. Kind of fallen out of fashion in the last few decades. Not much to guess about the why when 99 times out of 100 the who is caught on camera. Or before they even leave the house. I've had to find some real fossils and oddballs to get advice on how to go about it. But I think I'm getting that hang of it. At least this heartbreak manual let out that he's lost his weapon. He didn't lose it, he chose to leave it behind. That tells me he's confident he can do just fine without it. It makes me even more certain that these aren't his only kills. Were there other shootings with the same MO? No, not that I've found. Other victims that fit the description? No. But I'm not overly focused on the victim's appearance anyway. I mean, these 6 victims all look like each other. But they also look like a lot of people. That's true. Hell, they all kind of look like me. Do they? Sure. What, you don't see it? I hadn't thought about it. Point is, no one can kill that cleanly when it's their first time. Getting things that perfect takes practice. So I know that HK must have taken a lot more than 6 occasions to practice Morgan. So I think heartbreak's a misnomer. You have something catchier in mind? I just don't think shooting them in the heart has any particular significance. If anything, it's a testament to their accuracy and their cold-blooded efficiency. The best possible use of 6 untagged bullets. 6 kills guaranteed no matter what kind of life support mods they were packing. The real signature isn't the bullets or the gun, it's the perfection. It's hard to wrap your head around. I'm saying that these 6 murders were just a fluke, a slip-up. A mistake? Exactly, a mistake. They got too clean, too efficient, and now they've got the public's attention. No wonder they're so pissed. Are you talking about the crime scene? Yeah, probably threw the detectives for a loop, right? Based on what you said, I don't blame them. Whoever trashed that room doesn't seem like the smooth operator you've been describing. On the contrary, I don't follow. This was the last bullet, their last shot. The other 5 were perfect. So if anything was out of place this time round, they must have thrown one hell of a temper tantrum. You make him sound like a child. Childish, and cowardly, and two-faced. Someone who hates to lose almost as much as they love to win. Your profile tell you all that? That? No. That part just takes one to know one. This profiling is some kind of investigative technique? Theory is that a crime can tell you something about the nature of the person who committed it. Stabbing, overkill, points to passion, rage, lust. They probably knew their victim. Poison and guns, meanwhile, suggest they can't overpower their victims physically. And there's the things you can assume about nearly all serial offenders: childhood trauma, prior criminal record, few or no meaningful attachments. There's a lot of recurring themes in their stories. The detectives say HK doesn't leave evidence. How much can his crimes possibly tell you? That he's diligent, almost perfect, highly intelligent, painstakingly organized, and with enough criminal connections to get his hands on an untagged firearm. It's rare to see her this animated outside the courtroom. It's almost like she's enjoying herself. A sheltered house cat who's picked up the scent of a mouth for the first time. A lone wolf, educated, but all her playfully lethal instincts coming to life. Probably overqualified or undervalued. But I'm not thrilled about the fact that in this metaphor I would be the. You know what I mean? Definitely. Considering the marksmanship, detectives said that HK would have needed insider information on optics. Does mean heartbreaks in law enforcement? Never in 10 billion years. Oh, antisocial, independent, despises authority. Be like a stallion applying for a job on a merry-go-round. They'd be kicking kids in the head after the first full rotation. Right, that's exactly how I put it. There must be some connection to the police, though, maybe secondary or tertiary. These types can't help but insert themselves. Insert themselves? I do not do anything even resembling that. Wait, if HK is not a cop, how do they know about the blackout timing? Crime metastatistics analysis, probably. Pardon? Take the emergency response times from across the city and map them out. Look for brief spikes and delays, chart out the dips, and... Sorry, technical, I know. But all the requisite data is publicly available. With a map, a spreadsheet, a calculator, anyone could reverse engineer the timing if they wanted to. That is such an unpleasant thought, Emma. So to summarize, you're looking for a cold-blooded, faceless, perfectionist killer who you think has no persistent MO or victim type in a city with an 8-digit population. Well, good luck! I don't need luck, I only need more information. Well, I'm sure the city will be happy to provide you with more resources. No, Morgan, I mean more crime scenes. Oh, sad truth is, if Heartbreak walked away today, I'd never catch them. The only way my net narrows is if they keep piling up bodies. Not a very fair trade, is it? No, it isn't, but getting screwed over is a given. It's a deal with the devil. Fair enough. Oof. Okay, that rant was pretty morbid and detailed. I need to get out more, or sleep less, but harder. You think a higher thread count would help? Don't worry about it. I'm always happy to listen to you ramble. It's a lot more pleasant than having to face you in the courtroom. Sorry, but that's the adversarial process. No hard feelings, yeah? No hard feelings. We're both just doing what we do. I could use a cup of coffee. How about you? Don't tempt me. If you all sleep face first on the table, I won't even take a picture. Okay, just don't expect it to make a difference next time we're at each other's throats. Heartbreak won't claim any more victims. In 2 weeks, the media will have moved on to the next sensation, and the police will have moved on to cases they actually stand a chance of closing. That's what people do. But Emma is different. He'll set aside and work a dozen other cases, never bringing it up. But a private corner of that frustratingly sharp mind of hers will continue to whittle away at it. Never finishing, but never quitting either, so I can't afford to take my eyes off her. As long as that's the case, I may well try to enjoy the view. Oh, that is episode 0 in, and that is where I will leave this first upload. Which means you're going to be living with my friend for a while. How long? I'm so sorry, I don't know. My face barely moved. It may as well have been a blatant pout from where I'm sitting. Yeah, like that. This friend of yours, they're trustworthy? Absolutely. In fact, I trust them more than anyone. Hey, come on, it'll be fun. Really? Really, educational too. I think you should learn a lot from someone like Morgan. You're the smartest person I know, Morgan. When it comes to people. Personally, I think it's cool to bring something like that flawed into the world. You're a criminal defense attorney and we're at a crime scene, I guess. I think we can guess what happens next. I've never stolen anything. I wasn't already compromised. Work hard at the company will have you set for life, and after you. I can't tell you how many musicians I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus. That's not just a lawyer job thing. You dress like a doorman on the weekends too. I'm not going to read all these. It seems like just a preview. An idle mind. Okay. I will see you all next week. Oh, results. Okay, we're gonna save right here and cut it off. Thanks for that little interlude.